and welcome to Club UX. In some of our other videos, we discussed about what is user experience design, and we also discussed the roles and responsibilities of a UX designer. Do check out those videos if you want to learn more about that. And in today's video, we are going to discuss the history of user experience. So it's not very uncommon to see that people associate user experience with only website applications, basically a technology product. But is it really so? User experience talks about the interaction of a person with a product or a service and the experience that they get by interacting with it. So let's just say that you have visited a movie theater. What's your impression in relation to the movie theater? What about the line at the food counter? Did you get irritated? How about the sitting arrangement inside the movie theater? Was it comfortable? What about the temperature? Was it too hot or too cold? So all of this encompasses the experience of a user in relation to a movie theater. UX as a design disciple is evolving and growing, and its history can be traced back, if not earlier than 6,000 years ago. Surprised? Let's take a look at the evolution of UX. History of UX can be traced back to 4000 BC with the Chinese traditional practice of Feng Shui. Feng Shui is all about arranging your surroundings in an optimal and user-friendly way to achieve harmony. Let's explain how Feng Shui has to do anything with UX and UX design. Just like a UX designer uses UX principle to create a delightful experience for a user, an interior designer uses Feng Shui principles to arrange the furniture and balance the elements of design with functionality. It is done in a way that makes it easy for the inhabitant to navigate the room, creating a happy experience. It incorporates a lot of cleanliness, white space and order. The end goal is to have a user-friendly experience. Let's move ahead to 500 BC. It's very interesting to see that the history of UX can also be traced back to the Greek civilization. Greek physician Hippocrates, who is considered one of the most outstanding figures in the history of medicine, in fact had a text written which described how surgeons' workplace should be set up. Back in 5th century BC, Greek civilizations used ergonomic principles to design their tools and devices. Hippocrates paid emphasis to the lighting on the room, the comfortable position of the surgeon, the arrangement of tools such that it is in easy reach to the surgeon, and so on. Doesn't it remind you of the UX design? How the emphasis is made to make the product efficient and easy to use. Move ahead to circa 1430 and Leonardo da Vinci's kitchen nightmare. In the book How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, author Michael talks about the instance when Duke of Milan had commissioned Leonardo to design the kitchen for a high-profile feast. In what is considered the first use of technology, Leonardo da Vinci designed and employed conveyor belts to transport food items to the preparers. Not just that, he also built a sprinkler system. Mind you, this all was before the Industrial Revolution. Well, the event was a disaster because the conveyor belt moved erratically and comically. In fact, the sprinkler system went off, ruining the entire food. However, the design practice bears the traces of user experience design, of designing products and services which are efficient for the use. Move ahead to early 1900s with Frederick Taylor and Industrial Revolution. Frederick Taylor was an American mechanical engineer who sought to improve industrial efficiency through scientific management and wrote the principles of scientific management. He was on a mission to make human labor more efficient, and he conducted extensive research to understand the interaction between worker and their tools. Though he was widely criticized because he merely reduced the people to cogs in a machine. However, focus of Taylorism on optimizing the relationship between humans and their tools is considered a reminiscent of some key UX principles. First half of 20th century saw a lot of research into the field of human factors and ergonomics. Toyota valued workplace efficiency through engineering and production. Toyota developed their human-centered production system. Their philosophy is to have respect for their employees. To give you an example, workers at Toyota factory could pull up an Anden cord to stop the assembly line if they could see a defect, and then would give a feedback to improve the process. Toyota would use this feedback to improve their entire production system. Doesn't it sound like usability testing to you? Walt Disney was an imaginative person. He brought happiness and magic in our life with his beautiful magical stories. His incredibly imaginative mind seeded the idea which formally came to be known as Disneyland. Walt Disney made sure to use technology to delight our senses and create happy memories. His guiding principles for his team of engineers was know your audience, wear your guest glove, communicate with color, shape, form and texture. Trip to Disneyland is a beautiful adventure of the lifetime. It brings smile to our face and lightens up our eyes. Isn't a good user experience is about all of that? Bob Taylor, a trained psychologist and engineer, led his team in building technologies that compose a personal computer. Most famously, the famous graphical user interface that pioneered the interaction between human and computer. 1970s was the era where a lot of psychologists and engineers worked together to improve the user experience, which led to a lot of influential developments like graphical user interface and the mouse. And in 1984, Apple produced its first mass market PC featuring a GUI built-in screen and mouse. Don Norman, a cognitive scientist, joined Apple in the early 90s to help them in designing a product lineup. He asked to be called as their user experience architect, thereby making him the first person to have UX in his job title. And this is how we came up with the title of user experience and user experience designer. Well, the history was written when Steve Jobs unveiled the first iPhone in 2007. With its beautiful touchscreen and revolutionary design, it provided far superior user experience as compared to other phones. The design and user experience catapulted position of Apple and led the way of future mobile devices. UX has evolved not only within these few decades but over several centuries. From augmented reality to virtual reality to artificial intelligence to voice technology, UX continues to evolve. It would be very interesting to see how the digital technologies like AI, mixed reality, BCI, brain-computer interfaces can change the landscape of human-computer interaction. Wow, that was so much into the history of UX. So guys, this was all about the history of UX. If you have any questions, then you can ask me in the comment section below. We also write articles on yukti.io. Do check that out for more information. Do make sure that you subscribe to our channel for more weekly videos on UX and UI. And see you soon.